I've been thinking about this a lot lately, what it means to be well read, because my writing goals have always been very clear. I've always known the sorts of stories I want to tell and the things I want to say, but when it comes to reading and setting reading goals, I've always just had a passion to keep going and keep reading books that seem like they're really important because they're classics, or books that are super relevant to the times. When I was a kid, I was keeping up with every book series that was super popular and was still coming out. So I was reading the Inkart books, I was reading Aragon, I was reading Harry Potter, I was reading the Alex Rider books, I read the Bartimaeus trilogy. But as I've gotten older, and especially now that I've majored in English and graduated from college, that pure excitement to just keep reading and reading everything is starting to fade away a little bit. Like, my interests are very clear. I have already gone through a pretty intense Cormac McCarthy phase. I've read all of his stuff. Did the same thing with Denis Johnson. I'm most of the way through all of Toni Morrison's books. And definitely people who are well read do have some sort of center, some sort of anchor to the things that they've read. Like, just think about someone who's an expert in their field. They've read super deeply in chemistry, physics, whatever. But I'm more interested in being well read in kind of a more general sense. When I'm having a conversation with a writer who's had much more success and published a lot more books than I have, like, I think my only goal is to be able to have a really good conversation with that person and to be able to, assuming we're talking about books, let that conversation go to some pretty cool, unique places. I want to know what they know. And so being well read, to me, I do think has turned into something that is based on conversation with other readers. I just want to be able to talk to other people about the sorts of things that I love. I want to know what they love. I want to have a conversation about that love. I think there's definitely something to studying like English literature. So, being pretty regimented about reading Shakespeare's plays. And if, like me, you're interested in American literature, reading the very basic American novels like Moby Dick and The Scarlet Letter. But there's no way to dabble in every literary tradition and also really know my stuff. At least that's how I feel. I'm not smart enough to do both, and I definitely don't have the time to do both. I want to know what your reading goals are. If you're still watching this, thank you. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Like, what have you not read that you want to? What are some books that you've always had top of mind? For me, like, even though I've tried it a few times and failed miserably to finish it, I do still want to read Infinite Jest because I've really admired David Foster Wallace as a thinker. I want to read Ulysses. That's another notorious long book that it's a big success to have read. But I definitely don't think being well read is about having read like those epic tome books, like the Count of Monte Cristo. I do really think, at least for me, it all comes back to how good of a conversation can I have with another reader about literature and life, Like, can we weave in and out of talking about books and still just have like a normal conversation? Can we talk about books without hiding in them and only talking about the stories? Can we get to know each other a little bit better by means of the stories that we both love? What's your definition of being well read? I am very curious to know. These are just my thoughts. This is how I feel about the subject right now. I've been silly enough to make some lists of like the most essential American novels before. If you're still watching this, I want you to know that the main reason I've done things like that is just because I want to see what other people say when they see, my best stab at making a list of the best 6 or like the most essential 6. I don't think I could really objectively say which ones are the best, but I do think I can continue to take a stab at which ones I feel like are most essential, most foundational. I think that video that I made about this topic for like the most essential American literature a little while ago, the books that I picked were Moby Dick, The Scarlet Letter, Blood Meridian, Beloved by Toni Morrison, Walden by Thoreau, and The Great Gatsby. Moby Dick and The Scarlet Letter are no-brainers. Like, if we're talking about what's most essential to American literature, those novels they're the cornerstone. But reading is so personal. Like, on a certain level, I don't really care about what is the most essential, what's like the most critically acclaimed thing throughout all of time. Someone's favorite novels say a lot more about them than which ones they think are objectively the best. All right, I'm done. I'm cutting myself off. I just wanted to make a short video because I have been thinking about this question, like, what does it mean to be well read, a little bit more recently, and I am very curious to hear what you all have to say. I hope you're in a good reading groove. If not, I hope you get out of the slump soon. I'll be making a lot more book related content on this channel, and I will be making that content indefinitely. See you in the next one.